Batman Off-World, issue 5, Jason Aaron, writing with Doug Mankey on the art. So, yeah, it's been a little while since the last issue of this, but it kind of came back pretty quickly once I started reading it. And I enjoyed this quite a bit. Art's obviously excellent throughout. I think the villains of the Black Sun twins, Wrath being the tall lady, and then the little one, I can't remember the name of the little one, but it doesn't really matter.
The little one.
Yeah.
We'll just call him the little one.
The little one. But yeah, the first half of this is Batman fighting that Thanagarian assassin and struggling dearly, and really, it goes into a lot of detail. And I was glad this was like a slightly oversized issue. I mean, I think they all have been, but it's about 30 pages as opposed to the usual 20. And I like that because I was a little worried early on that too much of the issue was spent on this fight, because it does last quite a while. But there's enough pages that you do actually get a decent bit of other stuff afterwards. In fact, it gets quite dark by the end. I don't have much to say about the fight. It looks great. No complaints. But
I like that it's Batman, right, who's been supercharged by some of these alien technology, right? So he's still using gadgets and stuff. It's just alien gadgets. And it's typical. It's a typical Batman fight where he's fighting someone stronger than him, which I do like. So Aaron understands what works in that. Like, there's that sequence where he takes a punch, right, from the Thanagarian and then drifts off into space, and the Thanagarian looks down and he's got a bomb placed on him. I thought that was...
that's not a bomb.
What was that?
So, Batman's taken over his ship, and it says on the computer of the ship that the auto tracking has been affected by whatever's hacking it, so it's Batman's thing. That thing that he plants on his chest isn't a bomb, it's like the beacon for the ship, so the ship then flies into him.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the effect's still the same, right? There's an
explosion. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just the end result is pretty similar, but but that's what it is though, because it sets it up on the previous page.
Gotcha.
And then that sort of lures it in. So he uses his own ship against him. So it's a fun little thing. And then by the end, he like charges up his suit with the energy from the fake storm that the ship makes, because it's the storm. What do they call it? The storm something.
It's the great, not the Great Storm. That's Thor. I'll find it. You keep talking.
Whatever. Yeah. But he charges up his suit with it and starts punching the shit out of the Thanagarian. And then leaves the
War Storm.
There you go, the War Storm.
Yes.
And he leaves the Thanagarian basically on the ship with a bunch of punch robots as he leaves with his bot.
Punch back, come fight back.
Yeah, because the punch bot's basically saying, why are we leaving the War Storm? It's like the best asset we have is protecting us. And then Batman's like, no, it's a target. It's this huge thing. Yeah. Like, no, we can be much more effective if we're slying on the move. So he takes his alien dog, he takes Punchbot, and they go on their way as Batman goes looking for, locations and whatnot. But what's interesting about it, though, is the back half of the issue where the Black Sun twins come to a mining colony, one of their mining colonies, and they're like, hey, you've all been infected with something. There's this bat character going around infecting you with a disease. That disease is hope, and we're here to like rid that from you. Anyone who wants to form an uprising, now's your chance. We're standing right here, come for it. And she smiles like really creepily, because the design of these characters is really good. This red sort of like, but only like under their jaw is red.
Yeah,
the top half
from the jaw up to the ear and then down.
That's like a really creepy visual. It's a really good design.
Yes.
So that's like a tease for what's happened, but we find out afterwards Batman like comes to this moon and all of these aliens are dead. Like, they are all dead. This has been complete genocide, and it turns out that the big one, Wrath, like killed a bunch of them herself for fun, but most of it was actually the little one's power of like persuading people by just whispering in their ear what to do. He made them kill each other. And Batman like asked the robot how many people have died on this moon. Turns out it was multiple moons as well. And the robot's like, 12 billion? Something like that. It's like some obscene number. And Batman just breaks down. He's like, 12 billion people are dead because of me. What the hell? Maybe I should give up this Batman shit. Maybe I should just go home. Maybe I'm over my head. I don't belong here. And he even thinks about Ione at one point here, and that maybe she's his way out of here, and he even thinks about kissing her, and like has a little like romantic moment in his head. But the reveal here is that she's actually here to take him in for the bounty, and she had a scene earlier just before this with the Thanagarian, where she seemingly killed the Thanagarian to stop him from getting after Batman. Which maybe in that moment you might think, oh, she's doing that to protect Batman, but then she shows up, she lifts up her gun and says, "You're coming with me." And yeah, the end of the issue is her dropping Batman off with the Black Sun twins. And she's like, "Oh, he means nothing to me. I don't even want to watch you torture him." And she walks off. And the final full page spread is the tall one saying, "Oh, my little brother here's been waiting to have a word with you, Batman." So he's creepily just kind of like sort of hovering over Batman's like badly beaten up and bloody body. Just like, "Oh, I'm going to whisper in your ear and tell you to do all sorts of things." Which, you know, Batman having his control taken away is probably like the most torturous thing you could probably do to him. So I see big outcomes from this. I guess the question I have for you, Matt, is like, does Ione have some kind of other plan or motive here, or is she just turned heel? Is she just doing this because she wants to get the bounty?
No, I think she's doing both. She's doing that thing where she's going to get the bounty, and then she's going to turn around and turn on the Black Sun. So I feel like this is part of a plan that she's having, because remember, she was a storm chaser, right? She was employed by them in the War Storm. So I can't remember if we got her full origin, right? But I'm assuming they've done bad things, and now, you know, she's holding that. So I definitely think I don't think she's turned full heel. I think she'll be back around.
I think it's entirely possible that we'll cut back to that scene where she lifted up her gun, and we'll get like a whole conversation they had, and that Batman's even like agreed to this because it's a plan or something. Maybe she gave him a pep talk and convinced him that he can change stuff by actually taking out the twins somehow. But yeah, I mean, I did like how dark this got. I like that these villains just like killed an entire, you know, colonies worth of people, several colonies worth of people. And I
mean, it's 2 Earths worth of people, right? We have about 7 billion on Earth right now.
But the idea that Batman has to feel the weight of like, wait, my having like any kind of influence here caused this. They did this to stamp out the idea that these people were starting to believe that they could rise up and maybe deserve better. And I am in some way responsible for that. And like seeing Batman struggle with that is actually kind of interesting and wild. It's almost like if in Superman Warworld saga, like if after Superman tried to convince everyone to like rise up from slavery, if Mongol just killed them all outright, it said, "No, they're all dead now. What are you going to do now, Superman?"
What are you going to do? So this is the price of hope. You know?
So. Very curious to see. I mean, I'm impressed that despite how outrageous this story is, from like Batman's in space and it's all these aliens and stuff, how compelling that I've found most of it, and how much I like Ione, how much I like the fact that the assassin was a Thanagarian, and these villains, the Black Sun twins, are legitimately creepy and have a good bit of character to them. So despite the long delay between this and the last issue, I found myself quickly into this and really enjoying it by the end.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of on par for most of the good Aaron work that I've read. He does this kind of stuff where he's able to come around and he can balance the darkness with the more heroic aspects of the character. Because I don't know if you ever read Southern Bastards, which was his creator-owned. It got pretty dark at points, but he was always able to dig out and remind us of why these characters are doing, why they're doing what they're doing, and there's a more noble cause. And I feel like that's perfectly on display here, right? It's like, Batman feels the full weight of 12 billion lives, but Batman's going to do what's right, you know? So there's not more that end up like that. Because there's 2 kinds of evil, right? The people that do it and the people that allow it. So and I feel like he's built this, a little Bat family in space, right? If what we think about Ione is true, right? This is just part of a plan. He's got that big wolf. He's got Punchbot. He's got her. So I'm assuming that she's also maybe rallying up the other people that are tired of the Black Sun.
That's the hope, but you can also read her eyes. He means nothing to me. Is her being pissed that he rejected her before.
That could be too,
because that's always a possibility. But even without her, even just the robot and the space dog, like it already feels like he's built a little team. That said, though, I do suspect the reason why she doesn't want to stay around and watch is not because she either like will feel hurt by watching it or because she doesn't genuinely care. It's probably more that part of the plan is her to go and do something else while they're distracted with Batman, right? That's the idea that they're going to be focused on Batman so she can go and mess with their systems, release someone else from a cell or something, whatever it may be. But I suspect that there's a plan brewing here, and that's what's going on. So
and well, we do know that Tamaranians do have a temper too. So you know, maybe it starts as that like, oh, I don't care, and it's just, I can't leave him, that type of stuff too. But either way, I was worried that I was going to have a hard time remembering a lot of that stuff, but it came right back. So that's some good storytelling. Yeah,
no. I think it was maybe smart as well. Maybe Aaron knew there was going to be a gap because the first couple of pages is Batman being confused about where he is, and he kind of reiterates the premise of the book as he's realizing that he's in the middle of a fight. And he's like, oh, I've been knocked kind of, wacky here, and like, oh, I'm in space, that's right. Like, he kind of like just gives some bullet points to get you back into the swing of it. And maybe that was a genuine like choice on Aaron's part because he knew that people might struggle with a bit of a gap. So, no, very good, and the art is pretty gorgeous. Like Mankey's like use of like heavy lines and shadows is very good, and it's very vibrant. The red on the villains really stands out. It's part of what makes them so creepy. It's very Hellraiser because they're kind of like the red's not actually this, but it does kind of evoke the idea of like if someone's like not wearing skin and you can see the muscles. That's what the red makes me think of, is that kind of visual, which makes me think
they've
very...
had their skin peeled away.
Yeah, it's very Hellraiser-y because of that.
Yeah.
So,
there's that panel of where they're on that moon, and basically they say "have at thee," and the people swarm, and they're alone in this big black like void. I think that's a very, I don't want to say iconic, but that has stuck out since I read this earlier this week.
And that smile on her face as she says that "come at us" is very telling, and you're like, oh, these people are doomed. Like they might think, oh, we outnumber them by so many, but they are just doomed, and you know it from that smirk. So it's very good.
Yeah.
All right. We rating Batman Off-World.
I'm gonna as an 8.5.
Yeah, hard to argue. I think like the art just nudges up a little bit into that 8.5 range, so I agree with that.